Hi, everybody. This is Rachel Gold here to talk about my latest book, Synclair. It's available as of today, November 17th. It is my 6th young adult novel, and it's a standalone, so it's not a sequel to anything. It is about a 17-year-old girl who has decided this is the summer for her spiritual journey. But that's not exactly how things are going to turn out, as you can guess. So the main character, Emma Synclair, goes by her last name, Synclair, and is the child of two devout atheists. So they haven't really encouraged her and have actively discouraged her from having religious or spiritual education. During the time of the book, they're out of the country because the house is being remodeled. Her brother Mac is back post-college to sort of oversee the remodeling. So it's just the two of them in the house. And she figures this is a perfect year to go figure out her spirituality, especially because her best friend Kinsey, who she has a huge crush on, is dating someone else. So her girl prospects are not looking good. So she's gonna spend some time with God, or at least that's what she thinks when the book starts. So I'm gonna read to you a little bit from the beginning of the book, kind of just set us up for this story. Before I do that, I also just want to say hi and kind of connect from my fortress of Zoomitude here. 2020 has been quite a year, right? Yeah, it's been the year. And this is also, for the first time, I am teaching college full-time. So I've had some other careers, but always had in mind that I might like to teach. Turns out I love teaching, but I have definitely picked the weirdest year to start teaching college. So I spend a lot of time at the screen talking to people, and I'm getting used to connecting. So I'm glad that you're there watching this video and connecting with me about this book. And if you want to connect real time for my events and what's going on, check out my Twitter feed. I'm at Rachel Gold, spelled exactly like my name, and that will have the most up-to-date information. Okay. Now I'm going to read a little bit from just the very beginning of the book so you can get a sense for what it's about. And we are, of course, in Synclair's point of view. My best friend and her girlfriend pretend to clear dishes from the patio table, but don't return from the kitchen. This means they're making out in my bed. Yes, I have feelings about that. If you have a spare weekend and a psychology degree, I'll tell you all of them. Ken's and I have been friends since 8th grade, and I made it all the way through 9th before recognizing my profound crush on her. Timing and courage aligned during my junior year, last winter, but Camden got there first. Camden, who we didn't even know was into girls. Kins has told her parents she's queer plenty of times. Her father refuses to believe her, and if she tried to bring Camden home in a making out way, they'd ban Camden from the house and ground Kins forever. They can't do stuff at Camden's house, girlfriend stuff at Camden's house either because she's not out. That leaves Kins's car. But she'd begged me for the comfort of a real bed, and I'd agreed that as long as they stayed on top of my comforter, they could make out a little. I had not realized this would leave my bed scented with a combination of girls I liked who I was not dating. There aren't enough swear words to express that degree of shitcrappery. This is not how I planned to begin my beautifully quiet summer. I intended to have a spiritual quest in the fortunate absence of parents, especially my mom. I knock on my bedroom door and say, "Kins, get decent." "I am," she insists. I crack the door open and slip through without peeking at the bed. I don't want to see if either of them had to hastily throw their shirt on. I will not think about that any more than I already am. I grab the bag looped over the back of my desk chair and the meditation book I'd found in my box of religious and spiritual treasures. "Going for a walk," I say, my back to the bed. "You sure?" Kins asks. She knows I'm not the walking type. "Yeah, have fun, but not too much fun, okay?" Camden's laugh propels me out of the room because of its clear surprise and joy, and then out of my house. As soon as I leave my front yard, I'm under the cover of trees. This neighborhood has so much greenery. We used to live a couple miles north within walking distance of Kins, but 3 years ago, the tech company where my parents work got acquired by a bigger company and they made a bunch of money. We moved from that suburb to one south with expensive houses bordering on big lakes. I still go to the same school, but now my house is a lot bigger than Kins's, and that's not even counting the outdoor kitchen. I can't walk over to see her anymore. 2 blocks from my house, a hiking trail intersects the sidewalk. The official paved trail winds through the trees for a half mile and then around a small lake. But there's a spot 100 paces from the sidewalk where a dirt footpath leads into the trees and down to the river. I duck onto that cooler shaded path. It's almost 9, but the sun hasn't set fully, so under the trees it's dusky without being dark. The stream that made the ravine behind my house feeds into this river, making it wide and deep enough that it's tricky to cross in the middle. Over the years, people have rolled large stones into the water. It's possible to hop across if you have longish legs and good balance. The space under the trees grows darker from the density of branches and trunks. Past the stones, I sit in a flat area carpeted with old dry leaves beside the river. Of course, now it's too dark to see the pages of the book and figure out how this meditation thing works. I shine my phone's flashlight on the cover. Open the book, turn to the first page. "Oh," a girl's voice says from across the river. "Is that really you?" Squinting into the darkness, I see a person kneeling by the far bank. Maybe my height? Slender if those are her shoulders? I can't tell much from the few syllables I've heard, but I feel that she's probably my age, maybe from my school. "I'm sorry," I say. "Who are you looking for?" She leans forward, hands on the river sand, as if she could crawl across the water to me. Then she stands up and asks, "Emma?" That is my first name. I haven't used it in a few years, and most of my teachers call me Synclair, but she could have heard one use it. She asks, "Emma Synclair?" So she must go to my school. Someone I haven't heard speak often? A girl in one of my classes? Friend of a friend? "Who's there?" "Stay there," she says, and moves to the rocks in the river. She's between my average height and Kins's tallness, with long, straight, dark hair. She's wearing a sleeveless shirt and loose pants, barefoot. The search engine in my brain is throwing all kinds of errors because she resembles no one that I know. And I would remember a girl like this. She dances across the rocks and strides down the bank to crouch in front of me. Her fingers find the edge of my phone and turn it so the light shines on her face. Very black hair and eyebrows stark against warm, pale skin. A long nose, beautiful cheekbones, all around beautiful. How could I have missed her at school, except... She tosses her hair out of her face and smiles at me. One dark brown eye, one blue. I've only ever known one person with heterochromia. She's the reason I know the word. "Avery!" I lunge forward and hug her. Her arms close around me just as hard. This body is so much bigger than I remember, but she still smells of deep sandalwood, soft rose, and bright jasmine. Especially her hair, which is significantly longer than 6 years ago. I let go and slide back out of the hug. She might not even like hugs now, but she's grinning. "Are you real?" I ask her. Her laugh is a richer version of the bell-like laugh I remember from when we were 11 and best friends. From 2nd through 5th grade, we lived 3 blocks apart. At first, we'd played at each other's houses every day out of convenience. But in 4th grade, when everyone was acquiring more friends, we'd stayed best friends. I'd cried so much when she and her mom suddenly moved out of state before 6th grade. Her mom hadn't left any information about where they went. My parents helped me search for her online, but we didn't find her. And eventually my mom said we should stop. Back when we were little, Avery had been a twiggy kid with a mop of black hair that her mom kept short because Avery tended to get things stuck in it. Now her hair falls to mid-boob. And she has boobs, which I am absolutely not looking at under her thin shirt. This is superbly not the Avery I remember from 5th grade. My lungs have forgotten their main job and are busy squeezing my heart. "I'm real," she insists. "Here for the summer, staying at my grandparents'." "Wow." She touches the shaved side of my head that I can flop my hair over or not as I want. "I like this." Her fingers brush the frame of my nerdy hip square glasses with rounded edges. "And these." "You grew up," I say. "Working on it. You too. I might not have recognized you except for your smile." I must have been smiling at the meditation guy on the book cover. My smile is dorky and lopsided, especially when it's big. It's off-center. The first 2/3 of my smile happen only on the right side of my face. "Where did you go?" I ask. "You disappeared. You didn't write me or anything. I looked for you." "Oh, yeah." She sits back on her heels and watches the river flowing by us, her mouth twisting with a scowl. We had to hide from my dad for a while. I scoot forward, crunching old leaves, and hug her again. She holds on to me. I remember being scared of her dad, and I didn't even have to live with him. She pulls out of the hug and tucks her hair behind one ear, twists her fingers together. He moved, she says. Now I can visit my grandparents. I'm staying with them for the summer. They live around here? North a ways. You didn't used to live here either. I went by your old house just to see. I wasn't sure. She stops and watches the water again. I was afraid you'd be mad at me, that you'd think I ditched you. I'm not mad, I say. I am extremely not mad. This is all kinds of amazing. What are you doing out here? I tell her, all my really good friends love to cook, and they took over my house since I've got the best kitchen. Plus, my brother has friends over, so it's super loud. I figured I'd hide in the woods and learn to meditate. I don't have the presence of mind to come up with anything cool. And because it's the solstice, Avery says. The what? Summer solstice. Isn't that why you picked tonight? No, it just seemed like a good time. You accidentally picked the summer solstice to learn to meditate? Good instincts. I can teach you, the basics at least, she says. There's a solstice bonfire. Do you want to come see it? We don't have to dance or anything. We can stay at the edge, but I should let my cousin know where I am. Yes, I say before most of the words have registered. I bought in at do you want? Because no way can I let 17-year-old Avery vanish into the woods now that I've found her, or she's found me. I have a lot of questions, like, how is there a solstice bonfire in my boring neighborhood and why don't I know about it? But that can wait. Oh, good, come on, she says. I drop my phone and the book into my bag and loop it over my shoulder. Avery takes my hand as if a day hasn't passed since the last time we hung out and draws me up the bank to the rocks. With my hand in hers, I cross well enough. My foot slips once and the toes get wet. She's barefoot, her long toes curling over the edges of the rocks. She's gotten so much longer as she grew up. Not only her toes, but her feet and legs and waist and fingers and neck and that hair, pure black and loose, shifting and shimmering in the fading glow of the sky. On her side of the river, her sandals sit next to a pile of loose dirt. She slips her feet into them, points at the dirt and says, planting my prayers. Sure. She flashes a grin at me, pulls me down a path I've never used before and says, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? I thought your parents sent you to get some religious education. Yeah, to churches and temples. I don't remember anyone planting prayers. Wicca? Paganism? Witchcraft? I've seen it on TV. That'll do, she says. It's so good to see you. I can't believe you were just there. I saw the flash of light and looked up and you had that smile. I thought I'd made you up. I'm not completely sure you didn't, I say. This fast walk along the narrow, dark path feels too dreamlike, and she still has my hand. How long can I hold her hand before it becomes deeply weird? She laughs and we scramble down a slope of dirt to exit the trees at the edge of one of the bigger lakes in my neighborhood. We stand at the crescent tip of a beach. At its widest point, maybe 100 feet away, a bonfire burns orange-red. Low drum beats play and a half dozen people dance while another dozen sit around the fire talking. This is my neighborhood? You don't have to meet them, Avery says. Wait here and I'll tell my cousin and get us something to drink. I don't drink alcohol, I tell her. I wasn't offering, she says, grins at me, kicks off her sandals and runs down the beach. The seating options are sand or dirt. I choose sand and put my bag next to Avery's sandals. She returns with 2 bottles of water and a small bag of pretzels. Are they symbolic, I ask? We're going to bury our pretzels later to signify puzzles in our lives? That's a great idea, she says. I open a water and take a sip, collect a handful of pretzels, and watch tiny waves lick the lake shore. Avery sits next to me, so close the tiny hairs on her arm might be touching the tiny hairs on mine. Mine are standing up for sure, raised toward that possible contact. There's enough light to see the crisscross lines on her dark pants and the swirls on her loose V-neck shirt. Cool shirt, I say, and pants. They're pajama bottoms, summer weight, super light, better than shorts for running through the woods and stuff. There's stuff? What stuff? I ask. Then add, you always did love pajamas. Weren't there some weekends you never changed out of them? I tried, but Dad wouldn't let me, she says. You used to have the best Lego collection of anyone. Do you still? No, I gave them away a few years ago. I have some action figures and dolls, but I don't really set up scenes for them the way we used to with the Legos. You sound like you want to, she says. We're not too old, you know. I laugh because as the youngest of 3 kids, I'm never considered too old for anything. Maybe I should set up a scene with my awesome Jesus action figure and my Prince of Egypt dolls. Of course, then my brother would take a photo and send it to our parents, so maybe not. You know how to meditate, I ask her. Since when? She shrugs one shoulder and her arm brushes mine. Mom got into Buddhism after we moved. More than the Wicca she'd been into. I stayed with Wicca and added Buddhist meditation techniques. Why'd you pick meditation? My brain is kind of a jerk most of the time, I tell her, and I feel like I lost something and it's out there waiting for me. Remember when you gave me that statue and my mom freaked out and made me give it back? The triple goddess, Hecate. I still have her, Avery says softly. You do? I took her with me when we left because I knew I was going to miss you so much. She's on my altar at home. I used to ask her to watch over you to make sure you were having fun. I missed you too, I whisper. She leans her shoulder into mine. When did you stop asking Hecate to watch out for me, I ask. I had a dream about you, she says, and is quiet for an awkwardly long time. I assume she's figuring out how to tell me the dream, but instead she says, and I realized you were okay. You'd make other friends. Eventually, I tell her. How about you? She shrugs. Why meditation instead of church or temple or mosque or rituals? Meditation I can do by myself. I didn't know any Muslims or Wiccans until now. My life is too weird for a church or temple, and I'd have to find a gay affirming one. I stop and hold my breath, realizing I just outed myself. Oh, Avery says, and we sit in silence for an excruciatingly long time, maybe even a minute. You can't be Wiccan and not cool with gay people, can you? I finally ask. She takes a long breath and says, Emma, you were my first crush. I date girls. Whoa, shizzle sticks, what? Laughing, catching her breath, she sips from her water bottle and settles back next to me in that almost touching way. I came out to myself 2 years ago, she says, and when I looked back, I could see how smitten with you I was. I followed you around everywhere. I thought you didn't have anything better to do. No, you were the coolest nerd. You made up the best games and make-believe. I cried so much when we moved away. Me too, I admit, feeling like we're 1,000 years old. As if we're vampires sitting around talking about that time we were human in centuries past. Also, everyone calls me Synclair now. Nice, why? My friend Kinsey and I decided when we started high school that'd be cool to go by our last names, and it stuck. Then, I don't know if I feel like an Emma. Synclair, she says my name slowly, drawn out, soft. Are you ready for me to teach you to meditate? Yes, please. So that is the first part of the opening of Synclair, in which Synclair will have a lot more adventures and some mishaps and some, mystical things that will happen. And yeah, I'm going to try not to spoiler it. Though I'm sure that there will be future reading events in which I totally spoiler parts of it. All right, so is there anything else important I should tell you all about this other than it's available? Yeah, I'm on the internet. You can find me if you want to let me know what you think about it. If you have requests for future books, questions, etc. And I think with that, I am going to wander off because this is also the first week in which the new Assassin's Creed game is out. For those of you who are watching this who are fellow gamers, I hope you are also enjoying some Valhalla if that's on your list of things to do. And everyone, I hope that you're taking care of yourselves and staying safe. And I'm looking forward to a bright and optimistic 2021. All right, take care.